Hi Peabody friends. Today we're going to do a blackout poetry project, which is a super cool, versatile way to be creative, and there are endless possibilities with this type of art. So what we're going to do is start with our pack that we received from the library. You should have a bag like this, and let's see what's inside. This should be in your bag. You should have a black permanent marker, which is essential, and an instruction pack and a page to do your poetry on. So let's just take a look at this instruction pack. Now, what we have here is a page that is already pulled out of a book. When you receive this, we're going to walk through this together. You'll already have this page. If you ever want to do this on your own, I've enclosed instructions that are for that. The first step being find a book that you can remove pages from for your poetry. So, I picked this John Steinbeck book called Cannery Row. I picked this book because it is so lyrical. There are some really wonderful words here that you can use to build poems. The next step on our instructions is to flip through the book and locate the page you would like to use. I just randomly picked this page, page 7, and step 3 is to remove the page from the book. Your best bet is going to be an X-Acto knife or a knife like this. You need to be super careful, obviously, and considering this is a book that you're going to be removing pages from anyway, I would recommend taking it and bending it backwards to expose as much of this area as possible. Flip it over, pull the page taut, and do the same thing on the other side. That's going to expose this edge that we want to get to. So we're going to take our knife and simply cut the page out of the book. And obviously, if you are cutting towards yourself, be super careful with how you are handling this knife. You don't want to slip. And depending on how sharp your knife is, will obviously affect how well the page comes out as well. Now, what we can do is take scissors and clean up this edge, or if you have access to a tool, a paper chopper, obviously that'll work as well. For now, we're going to leave it like this, and we'll clean it up when we're done. The next step in our instructions is to scan the page and build your poem using selected words. We're on step 4. So what we want to do is look over our page and pick out words and build our poem. There are so many poems we could pull off of this page. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to be long. It can simply be a couple words. I'm going to show you some examples from our instruction pack that I have enclosed as far as poetry that people have already done. You can look up blackout poetry on the internet and it will show you things like this. This is a very basic blackout poetry where you have very simple steps. This one as well. This is where you get a little more artistic and even more here. No one method is more superior than the other. It's a matter of what you're looking for in your art that you're creating. It can be as basic or as elaborate as you choose. And the fun thing about blackout poetry is that you can make it different every time. So you can go from something like this to something like this, and they're equally amazing depending on what you're looking for, what kind of mood you want to produce. So when I was talking about you can make it as short or as long as you want to, this one is 3 words, 3 simple words, and it's amazing, and the art really goes along with the message here. It says, exhale, become human. That is super cool. People really come up with some really neat stuff for the Blackout poetry, and just be creative with it. We're going to go with something pretty simple today. I'll say intermediate style. I would call this beginner. I would say these are probably intermediate, and these are getting more advanced. You can get as basic or as complicated as you want. You can incorporate color. You don't have to stick with black. For now, obviously, that's what we're going to do in this video. But I would love to see what you guys create out of this. This is so much fun, and you can be so diverse with it. So, I have a page here from Cannery Row, and let's see. How about, I'm going to take a pencil here and very lightly circle the words that I want to use. And when I'm circling them, I'm taking it as far out as I can. When we go over this with a marker, we want to create as much space around the word as possible. Let's see if I can get up on this. Like so. Notice how there's a lot of negative space around those words. If we get too close to the words, they're not going to be clear, and it's going to clutter up your art. So I'm just going to go through and circle my words here. And I'm doing this very lightly with the pencil so that we can go back through and erase the marks when we're ready. Ooh, that's a fun word. And that word has a comma after it, so I'm probably going to include another one. Oh, perfect. Look at that. We'll end with a period. Okay. There. We have a poem. His sorrow was inviolable and penetrating. That is super deep. I think we need some fairly dramatic art to go along with this. Now remember, you can be as basic or as complicated as you like. I have seen some really cool Blackout poetry where they include a big shape, like this sun here. That is so neat to me. I really like how they've incorporated the sun in with these words. So I believe that for this one, I'm going to emulate that. You can do this any way you want to as far as style. Now, since this is a deep and sorrowful poem, I'm going to make a teardrop. How should I do this? Let's see. Okay, so I have drawn a giant teardrop, and everything that I wanted to do, I have done in pencil. So I'm going to take the marker that was included with my kit, and I'm going to go over my pencil lines. Now remember, you can, let's go to step 5. Using your black marker, encircle all your selected words. You can have angles or rounded corners. So, depending on the mood and the look you're going for, you can use squares, ovals. Squares seem to be very popular in the ones that I have pulled up here. This is really fun. I really like that. I think that might be a really neat method to incorporate into this particular poem. I will show you another example. When I was practicing, I pulled this up. This is pretty wild, and I really liked the flowing swirly design. So I pulled a page out of another book and practiced that swirly design. It was a lot of fun putting this together, and it ended up being this really radical look. So, I'm going to go through and do the dots. Okay, so as with all art that I do, it always ends up being different than what I had envisioned. When I first started, I was really looking at this, but I thought about the teardrop shape because of the nature of the verbiage of the poem. And just like with this other one, you know, I looked at this one and then emulated the style, but I made it my own. So if it doesn't turn out exactly how you had envisioned, just appreciate that you have something that is uniquely yours, that you have created. It's all your own style. You didn't copy someone else's work to create your own. And that seems to be how art works, in my opinion, as far as it evolving as we go through a project. So this is a really neat piece of art that came out of this, simply by selecting a few words on a page, cutting it out, and making a bunch of dots. So we could even add a color wash to this, or take it from there and really get elaborate with it. We have the basic structure here, and we could leave it just as is, or we could add elements of color. We could even do something like this example here and take one color and graduate down. Watercolors would be a wonderful thing to incorporate into something like this. So show me what you've done. Show me which style you used to create your art. I would love to see everyone's work that comes out of this project. This is such a cool method of art, and it is endless with the possibilities of what you can create. Well, I hope you had fun, and join us again for our next project. Thank you.